Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and we're coming at you here with some major injury news around the silver and black. Defensive end, edge rusher Jordan Jenkins, his season is officially over. He is headed to the IR. He has torn his ACL, which, man, really stinks because he was released by the Houston Texans last Monday. Then the Raiders signed him. He actually had a legitimate shot to make this 53-man roster. He's out there up against the Miami Dolphins, and then in a freak situation, pulls up, starts holding his right knee. You saw both of the athletic trainers had to help him off the field, which is just a very unfortunate situation. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to talk to you guys about the news, obviously, with Jenkins headed to the IR. On top of that, I'm going to be breaking down how that impacts players like Tashawn Bower, Malcolm Koonce, Clelin Ferrell, heck, even somebody like Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa. That's what you're going to be seeing here on today's show. Now, anytime that this happens, I get it, he is a new player, but this was somebody who I anticipated was actually going to be able to help out this organization going forward, especially at the defensive end spot. So all I want you to do is wear number 94 for the Raiders. If you could, just spam 94 down below. I mean, you never like to see a player get injured, especially how it ended up going down for Bower, getting to a new team and all this stuff into that. So please spam 94 down in the comments section to show him a little bit of love. Now, when the Raiders brought him in, the hope was that you could add a little bit more of a veteran presence, somebody who has gotten more game day experience. Last season, he had 20 tackles, he had 3 sacks, he's played in like 83 career games, so has had a lot more game experience, which is what this, I know, organization ultimately is looking for. You could still see the Raiders potentially go out and try to bring in another player on the defensive line, which I have been saying for a long time. I wish that the Silver and Black would end up doing that. You got a little bit over $22.3 million in salary cap space right now. I would like for them to get aggressive. Maybe that's going out and, I don't know, adding a player like an A.J. Johnson or an edge rusher like a Trey Flowers. You need just some extra defensive end help. I mean, those aren't big-time names. Maybe a Jamie Collins can help you as an outside linebacker. I don't know what the Raiders are trying to do, but I definitely want them to invest in the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. But then on top of that, you still need to be able to go out and bolster your defense. Sure, Max Crosby's great, Chandler Jones is great and all, but this team does still have some holes that they need to be able to address, especially on the defensive side of the football. Now, I promised y'all, I didn't know when it was going to happen. I literally just left work. Chuck's a little bit mad at me right now over at the couch, which I'll show you all right now. He's not a happy camper. Say hi, Chuckanito. Yeah, as you guys can see, he's not happy. I was getting ready to take him O-U-T. I can't say it because he knows the word. And then the news ended up happening here, so I was like, you know what? No, Raider Nation, they need a video. I always keep you guys up to date, even when I get home and, even when I'm just chilling at my house. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications because I got a commitment to excellence. I know you all do too, so please subscribe. I'm going to be live, Tuesday? What's today? Sunday? I'll be live on Tuesday. I'm actually going to be live on our Chat Sports show tomorrow, talking a whole bunch of NFL stuff, so hopefully I see you guys over there. All right, coming up next year, again, we're going to talk about, I think, what the depth chart's going to potentially look like here for the Silver and Black, and with roster cuts coming up, you got to go from 85, and you got to trim down to 80. Technically, now that Jenkins has been sent to the IR, Las Vegas has 84 players, so you really only have to move on from 4 dudes, which I talked a little bit about on my Locals live show today. If you haven't seen that, please go over to Locals and check it out. But in terms of the defensive ends here, you know that Crosby's in, you know that Chandler Jones is going to make the team. Personally, I think Malcolm Koonce is locked in his spot on the 53-man. I was really upset when the Raiders lost Kyler Fackrell because I knew that he was going to be a player that you could get some extra depth around in terms of being a solid edge rusher in Patrick Graham's system. Koonce, to me, though, has played back-to-back games. He's showing that bend. He's showing that burst. And I really believe that he could get somewhere around 4 or 5 sacks this upcoming season. If you can let him come in on third downs, pin his ears back, really get after the quarterback, that's where he's best at. That's where his best athletic attributes are. So I do think having a player like Koonce is good, but then it also goes over to a player like Tashawn Bower. Does he make the team? And he has played really well. I don't really think that we should get away from that. I think he's actually my MVP from this past game against Miami. In all 3 preseason games this year, he stepped up. He's got 3 sacks. He's getting pressure on the quarterback. And my biggest thing that I look for in terms of, let's say this, in terms of opportunities, you don't always get many opportunities right in the preseason. But when a player takes advantage of his limited opportunities, that's a good sign to me. And that's what Bower has done. Like, man, I'm going to have my fingers crossed. I hope he ends up making the roster because he deserves to make the roster based off of how he's played. That doesn't always mean that you make it. And the reason why I bring that up is because Clelin Ferrell or Tashawn Bower. I still think Clelin is the better overall prospect, the better overall player. But Ferrell's been banged up. It's been a little bit of a headache, and if it wasn't for his contract at $9.98 million, I could legitimately sit here and say Bower deserves to make that more than Ferrell. But that's not always how it goes in the real world, right? So how about this, y'all? I want to know down in the comments section right now, if you could choose, would you rather keep Bower or would you keep Clelin Ferrell? Let's just say money doesn't matter, right? It's not going to be you and I paying the money. It just comes down to the player and player alone. Would you keep Tashawn Bower, type 96? Or would you keep Clelin Ferrell? I want you to type 99. In terms of overall player, again, Ferrell is probably the better player, but I could see that the Raiders wanting to lean with 96 and Bower. What's really going to be interesting is how many defensive end this team decides to keep, because if you keep 5, then that gives Bower a shot. If you only keep 4 defensive ends, because you want to add more flexibility, more talent around certain players in terms of the secondary. Maybe you want to keep an extra linebacker. That's a possibility, like a Lucas Masterson. This organization is going to have, no doubt, a lot of difficult decisions that are going to have to be made. But luckily, they can always rely on some people like me. If they want the call, they can always call me. All right, y'all. Broke down some of the breaking news. Chuck's giving me that look right now like, hey, dude, I got to go outside, so I got to take out the homeboy. Remember, though, I got you guys covered. We're always going to keep you guys up to date here. Again, very, very sad news that Tashawn Bower is headed to the IR. Very limited time with the silver and black. He tore his ACL in that right knee. I'm going to wish him the best, though, but obviously the older and older you get, the more difficult it is to be able to recover from injuries like this. This does give Tashawn Bower an opportunity to make the 53-man roster. If anything else updates around Clelin Ferrell, we'll let you know. And then again, keep your eyes peeled because this week with practice up against New England, it's going to be an interesting one. So it's joint practice, Raiders, Patriots. I believe that they show up to Las Vegas on Monday. The Patriots will actually practice by themselves at the Raiders Stadium on Monday. And then joint practices start on Tuesday and Wednesday. There's going to be a lot of emotion, not only between with like the coaching staff and all that, but the Patriots, they got into 9 fights last week. 9 fights last week with Carolina. Now, maybe it was Carolina, maybe it was New England, but either way, I'm excited to see these guys start beating up on some other players, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes open and my ears peeled to see some of these extra updates. So again, y'all, Tashawn Bower, hope he makes the team. Malcolm Koonce, hopefully that he can step up. I do anticipate the Raiders making some extra move at defensive line in terms of adding another edge rusher with over $22 million in salary cap space. But if you made it this far in the video, type RO4L because y'all are a real one. I appreciate you, and I always love when people watch to the very, very end of our videos. All right, y'all, that's all I got the time for you today. So remember, if you want more Raiders Report videos, hit that subscribe button right here. If you want even more content, then seriously, click this video right here. I think you guys are going to like it. And if you want even more Raiders videos on top of that, because you just simply can't get enough of that silver and black content, just go ahead and click that button right here.